This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to episode 12 of the Chronicles of Conan in Lordran. Conan had visited the Wizard of the Mounds, and the wizard had told Conan to seek out Wyndolin. Conan had had a great battle with Wyndolin and had been able to vanquish his foe, his effeminate foe, Conan thought, quite easily. Wyndolin was a strong magician, but he proved to be no match to Conan's agility. Conan was able to gain much strength and vitality from his confrontation with Wyndolin. Unfortunately, the Wizard of the Mounds had written down the story of the fight on his personal annals, but later those annals had been lost and the pages, alas, had been burned in the fire. So the only witness to Conan's fight with Wyndolin were Conan and the Wizard of the Mounds. The story would pass into myth, just like many of the battles and confrontations that Conan had had throughout the lands. After Conan conquered Wyndolin, he decided to seek out and explore the magnificent palace of Lord Wynn, his archenemy Tulsa Doom. The palace was high on a mountaintop and was defended by many demons and by many knights. The Wizard of the Mounds had told Conan to expect demons wielding fiery spears, silver knights with spears, swords, and even large giant bows, and also to be wary of the most dangerous of foes, the royal sentinels. These were lumbering giants that were the cream of the crop of the fighting giants, and they made up Lord Wynn Tulsa Doom's personal guard. There was also no easy way into the fortress. Conan had to climb through many walkways, dangerous walkways, and he finally had to pass through a death trap between two silver knights, both wielding longbows, large bows, and both trying to knock off any intruders. Conan had been lucky. The first silver knight had fallen off as he tried to swing at Conan. After the first knight had fallen off, Conan decided to confront the second silver knight, even though he could have easily escaped him. It proved to be a wise decision, because that silver knight had been guarding a precious soul worth many, many souls, and a very worthwhile treasure and reward for what Conan had to go through in order to get into the fortress of Lord Wynn. Once inside, he met Solaire. Apparently, Solaire was also on a quest for Lord Wynn. Conan started to gain respect and admiration for Solaire. It had been difficult even for he to come this far, and yet Solaire was there and had beaten him to the punch, so to speak. There were rumors throughout the land that Solaire was quite a knight, quite a fighter, and that he kept his body and his fighting techniques a tip-top shape. And even if he didn't have any special equipment or any special weapons or any special abilities, through sheer willpower, exercise, and perseverance, he was able to forge through and make it this far in the land of Lordran, just as Conan had done. Once inside the fortress, Conan decided to do a little bit of looting. The way was littered with silver knights, some with long spears and some with long straight swords. The knights had beautiful but strong silvery armor that protected them from head to toe. It was heavy and it did impede their movement a bit, slowing them down a bit and slowing their sword attacks a bit. Conan was quick to notice this and took advantage of their slow movement by gracefully wielding and stroking them with his claymore. On a hidden basement, Conan found a series of chests that were guarded by a mimic. The mimic left behind an occult club, a magical club, and Conan thought it was indeed a barbarian weapon. It was the first weapon that barbarian children were exposed to. It didn't require much technique or skill, but it could stun and it could easily break through even the strongest armor if wielded by a strong youth. Down in the basement, Conan found a special stone armor, the armor that Hobble had worn. He quickly took off his older hand wraps and he replaced them with the Hobble wraps. These gave him a sense of poise and confidence, yet they didn't prevent him from moving around quickly and didn't slow him down in any way, especially when he put on Hobble's magical ring, which gave him additional power and additional ability to carry heavy items. He proceeded on scouting and looting the place. Mimics were everywhere, and one had to be very careful to make sure that a seemingly easy to loot treasure chest wasn't indeed one of the mimics that could kill you. In a surprise attack. Conan thought he heard a noise through a wall and tried to attack through it, hoping to hit whatever was behind it. He went through the door and he realized that there was a silver knight on the other side. He had not been able to hit him, probably because his claymore could not pierce through the wall or was hitting the knight's silvery shield. Conan was not very fond of shields, but he could appreciate a strong weapon, and the knight's silvery shield was an exquisite weapon indeed. It was an incredibly potent shield that was good against a variety of different damages and made these knights even more formidable foes than they already were. Conan found many traps and many places where multiple knights were waiting for intruders. He was careful to lure them one at a time so that he would not be surrounded by them. He was starting to learn their attacks and how to counter them. The knights that wielded the straight swords appeared to be the easiest to conquer and defeat. Again, their armor weighed them down and slowed down the speed of their attack. This split second was more than enough for Conan to attack with his claymore and put him down in 1 or 2 hits. With his added strength, he was able to use the heft and the mass of the claymore, and he was able to stun his enemies in 1 hit. Very, very strong, even very, very strong enemies would be stunned after the second hit, now that Conan had recovered all of his strength. He passed through a great hall with trophies of dragon heads. Apparently, this had been one of Lord Wyn's passions. When Lord Wyn, known as Tulsa Doom in the land of Hyboria, had come there, he had made a sport of looking for the strongest and the best steel. In Lordran, here in Anor Londo, apparently his sport of choice had been to hunt dragons. There was a large variety of dragon heads, small, medium, and large, but all menacing, hanging through the trophy hall. Conan proceeded up some steps to the highest level of the palace. He thought he heard some hammering, and he was curious. His dad was a blacksmith, and he had yet to find a blacksmith that was not a noble soul and a strong fighter as well. He found the source of the hammering, but before talking to the blacksmith, he did battle with some bat-winged demons. These creatures were long and slim and had very, very good reach. It made their spear, their fire spear, even more dangerous because it afforded them and their long limbs even more reach and a longer range of attack. Conan also opened up the door leading out to the front courtyard. He was attacked by a couple of sentinels, but they quickly went down to the claymore. He continued down and saw a shiny item, protected by more demons. The claymore was put to good use, and the demons were quickly dispatched. Having cleared the area of enemies, Conan decided to stop and talk to the blacksmith.
Who are you? Forge your weapons? Comment soon.
This was a giant who did not believe in fighting, but rather believed in the art of weapon making and blacksmithing. The wizard had told him that Anor Londo and its inhabitants made use of magical weapons, sometimes imbued with lightning. Apparently, the giant's blacksmith was the source of these weapons. He used a giant wooden hammer to control the sparks and to control the lightning that he imbued on the weapon for Tulsa Doom Lordran's protectors. Conan finally made it to the central court of this magnificent palace. There he found the royal sentinels. These were the strongest of giants and the most dangerous as well. They had a special place as the personal guards of this area. And they adorned themselves with long cloaks that demonstrated that they were different and they were superior to the sentinels he had fought outside. There was a large fog gate, and Conan proceeded to go through it. Inside of the fog gate, Conan saw Lordran's top 2 lieutenants. They were called Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Small in this land, but Conan was quick to recognize their true identity. These were his old foes, Rexor and Lordran. They had somehow changed appearances a bit here in the land of Lordran. When he had confronted them and fought them in Aquilonia and in Hyboria, Rexor was the giant and the stronger of the two. But in Lordran, Rexor's true identity was that of Dragon Slayer Ornstein, a nimble knight, incredibly capable with the spear, and wearing what Conan perceived to be the most beautiful suit of armor he had ever seen, complete with the menacing lion's head. Thorgrim, on the other hand, was a little bit more brutish in appearance and resembled his old Hyborian appearance. He was quite fat and gigantic in stature, and he wielded an incredibly large hammer imbued in lightning. After having dispatch of Rexor, it was an easy task to dispatch of Small, of Thorngrin. Conan had gained an incredible amount of souls, and he decided to put them all to great use. This had been a very, very profitable looting run. But most importantly, he had been able to take revenge on 2 of Tulsa Doom Lordran's top lieutenants, Rexor and Thorgrim. They both had been present at the original raid on Conan's village, and he had fought them both and barely escaped with his life when he assaulted the Temple of Set. In his last encounter before his fight with them in the land of Lordran, Rexor had almost killed him, but Valeria had interfered. She had come back. Her spirit had come back from the heavens, and she had blinded Rexor. Conan felt strength when she had told him and asked him, "Do you want to live forever?" With those words, he felt he was motivated, and he chopped Rexor down.
O chosen undead, I am Guinevere, daughter of Lord Gwyn and Queen of Sun.
Conan's thoughts easily went to Valyria, and that is because he was talking to Guinevere. Guinevere was the goddess, one of the most beautiful and one of the most attractive he had ever seen. Almost as attractive as Valyria. She was dressed seductively, and she had a very soft and captivating voice. It was easy to see, though, that she was a pawn of in the larger game of Lord Gwyn. She claimed to be a daughter of Lord Gwyn, and she claimed that Conan could regain the throne by killing Lord Gwyn.
You are astonishing. The truth.
It was time to seek answers, and Conan decided to pay a visit to one of the snakes.
The ancient lords found the three souls, but your progenitor found a fourth, unique soul, the dark soul. Your ancestor claimed the dark soul and waited for fire to subside. And soon the flames did fade, and only dark remained. Thus began the Age of Men, the Age of Dark. However, Lord Gwyn trembled at the dark, clinging to his Age of Fire and in dire fear of humans, and the Dark Lord who would one day be born amongst them. Lord Gwyn resisted the course of nature by sacrificing himself to link the fire and commanding his children to shepherd the humans. Gwyn has blurred your past to prevent the birth of the Dark Lord. I am the primordial serpent. I seek to right the wrongs of the past, to discover our true Lord. But the other serpent, Frampt, lost his sense and befriended Lord Gwyn. Undead warrior, we stand at a crossroads. Only I know the truth about your fate. You must destroy the fading Lord Gwyn, who has coddled fire and resisted nature, and become the fourth Lord, so that you may usher in an age of dark. Very well. I shall now guide
Conan heard the story from
Be still
Darkstalker Kath.
and trust thine flesh to me.
This serpent claimed that Conan's predecessor was the keeper and the finder of the original Dark Soul. He was the progenitor of all men. The land had been usurped by Lord Gwyn and the other gods, who had neglected men and had killed the dragons. Darkstalker Kath
This is Gwyn's prison. Now,
told Conan that Lord Gwyn's throne could be his. No doubt there was something for the serpent to gain. But Conan decided to go along with the serpent's plans. Crom would not like it, but I will do it for revenge. Forgive me, Crom. He knew his cries to Crom would fall on deaf ears. but he was excited to know that the path to Tulsa Doom, Lordran, was closer and closer and closer. Guided by the serpent, he poured the soul that he had obtained from Guinevere, into a giant bowl, a magical bowl, the Lord Vessel. It acted as a key, and it released gates that were magically sealed. These gates would lead on to further adventures in the land of Lordran.
Once the vessel is filled with souls, the gate to Gwyn shall open.
According to the serpent,
Grave Lord
Conan must obtain pieces of Lordran's soul that he had given
fill this vessel with their souls.
to some of his generals.
The gate will open so that you may kill Gwyn.
Once he found all of the pieces, he could feed them to the Lord Vessel,
Then let us
and the hiding
return to
place
the abyss.
of Lordran, Tulsa Doom, would finally be revealed.
Flesh to me.
And at that point, Conan could exact his final revenge on Tulsa Doom. The serpent brought Conan back to the abyss and to the location of the Lord Vessel. It was a strange and disgusting way to travel, but Conan would suffer much more than that in order to get revenge on Lord Gwyn.